Hello, and welcome to the Refugee Welcome Collective Lunch and Learn series. In these sessions, we aim to bring interesting and timely information to you, supporters of refugees. Whether you are a volunteer, community sponsor, or resettlement agency staff, a local advocate, or just someone who is interested in learning more, we hope that you enjoy today's session, Welcoming Ukrainians, Advice for a Warm Welcome to New Ukrainian Neighbors. Refugee Welcome Collective collaborates with partners to provide in-depth training programs, weekly learning sessions, resources, and on-demand technical assistance for sponsors, practitioners at resettlement agencies, refugees paired with sponsors, community and institutional partners, and others to support quality community sponsorship programs across the United States. Let's see, next slide. As a reminder for everyone joining us today, there is a control panel in your upper right-hand corner that will allow you to submit questions through the questions box. There will be ample time at the end of this webinar for questions and answers, and everyone on today's webinar is automatically muted. However, if you have any tech issues, please just raise your hand through the control panel or submit a question in the questions box, and we'll assist you. Additionally, the presentation and any resources and recording will be sent to everyone today. This brings us to our presenters for today, Urina and Alex. Urina and Alex are both case managers at Refugee One in Chicago, Illinois. Refugee One is a resettlement agency. Every year they welcome hundreds of refugees to new homes in Chicago. Refugee One provides a full range of coordinated services, including providing services to newcomers from Ukraine. We know that Chicago is also one of the top metro areas in the US receiving Ukrainians right now. So we're glad that we have Urina and Alex with us from the Chicago area. And we likely have community members on the call right now who maybe have welcomed Ukrainian neighbors or perhaps are interested in welcoming Ukrainians. And one part of that welcome is always learning about a neighbor's home culture and what might be different, what might be similar. I also want to make a note that it's important, of course, to remember that in any group, there's going to be similarities and differences. Urina and Alex, we're not asking you to speak for all Ukrainians. We're asking participants to remember that there are always going to be exceptions, to any information. However, I think Alex and Urina can share with us some information about some experiences that might be common to most folks coming here from Ukraine. So Alex and Urina, we have a few questions for you about some of those common experiences, and also whether you've had them, or I think you are assisting many newcomers coming now, so you can probably speak to that as well. First, Urina, I was curious about languages common for Ukrainians. Would you say most Ukrainians arriving speak some English or not as much, or what languages might they be most comfortable in?
Hello everyone, we are very glad to be on this webinar to give you more information about Ukrainians. So in Ukraine, the most common languages spoken are Ukrainian and Russian. People from the Western Ukraine speak Ukrainian. People from the eastern part of Ukraine speak Russian. Central Ukraine speaks a mix, and also you can hear Polish and Romanian, but on a very small scale. The official language in Ukraine is Ukrainian.
Very good. And I'm curious, some of the folks that are coming to Chicago right now, do some of them speak some English or not so much, or?
The recent arrivals, I would say they are on level 1 and 2. So only the basics, but not fluently.
I would also say like younger generations, I mean, they are more fluent in English than the older generation is. It's pretty much like everywhere.
That actually kind of leads me to the next question, Alex. As far as the younger generations go, is that because they learned English in school? What is kind of like the common school experience? Is it similar to here where you have like elementary, middle, high school, some college, or what are similarities and differences? And I am kind of curious, do people learn English sometimes in school, or?
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Thank you very much for having me today, guys. I'm pretty sure that, yeah, school system in Ukraine really contributes to people speaking English, learning English, besides anything else. But it's also pretty similar to the school system in the US. You got your preschool, you got your middle, high, and college. In college, kind of like in the US, you can get a specialization. It's like undergraduate program that preps you for a job market. So you can finish like 2 years, get your certificate, and off you go. Go make some money. And if you want to follow up and pursue some other degrees, you can go to accredited university in Ukraine. And universities, I mean, the degrees obtained in the universities in Ukraine are globally recognized. There are varieties of programs and degrees, 4-year bachelor's, master's, doctors in different fields of studies.
Great. Let me see. And another question, Irina, is there a common like religion or religions in Ukraine, or maybe not? And then, yeah, also is that like a consideration for some of the new arrivals, or?
So the majority of Ukrainians identify themselves as Orthodox, but it actually depends on the region. We also have Greek Catholicism, excuse me, and Roman Catholicism that are very common in Ukraine, but mostly Orthodox.
I'm kind of curious, do you know, and it's okay if you don't know, are there like Orthodox churches, for example, in Chicago?
Yes, there are many.
I guess, and there are different of these in several different communities out there as well. Let's see, Alex, could you tell us, shifting away from that, would you say are homes and apartments like in Ukraine pretty similar as homes or apartments in the US as far as like appliances, furniture, things like that? Are there any specific things, and maybe it's exactly the same, but if not, are there any kind of specific things that you could suggest that might make like a home or apartment more welcoming for a Ukrainian person?
Yeah, so as far as the housing goes, there's a lot of new construction going on and a lot of condo buildings from the 60s, from the Soviet Union. It's pretty much, I could say, like a urban high density area with high rises, apartment buildings, very pretty much like in the US. So yeah, I mean, humans are humans. It's sort of the same, I would say.
Pretty similar.
More
Pretty
European
similar.
style, you know, they use like this new materials for eco, whatever, ecology. But
So
yeah.
a little bit different. Yeah, very, very good. Let's see. Hopefully their home in the US will be eco-friendly as well. Let's see. Irina, could you tell us, as far as even like food goes, are there like popular foods in Ukraine? Is it pretty easy to find those foods here, just like in the grocery store? And also, would you have a suggestion, like if you were going to try to do like a meal or like a welcome meal, something that might be easy to do?
The most common dishes in Ukraine are borscht. It's a red soup made from cabbage and beets, and also vareniki. It's stuffed dumplings, and they are very easy to find here in Chicago. We have many Ukrainian restaurants. Also, every family can make them at home with the ingredients they can find in Ukrainian or Polish stores. And for a welcome meal, I would suggest vareniki with potato and cheese filling, and we usually pair them with sour cream.
And let's see. And actually, say that one more time. What was it with cheese filling?
Vareniki, it's stuffed dumplings, Ukrainian dish.
I gotcha. That
If you
sounds
guys never
good.
been to Ukrainian Village, go ahead, check it out. They got some nice restaurants there in that area.
Yes, Ukrainian
Very
Village
good.
in Chicago.
In Chicago, very good. And I wonder also if you even like Googled it. I mean, I feel like you can buy borscht in some stores, right? Or some like international stores as well. And also maybe if you Googled it in your, you know, in our respective communities, across the country or what have you. Let's see, Alex, would you say a lot of folks in Ukraine, is it typical to drive, or are most people used to public transit, or?
I would say it's like health and health. Since the population is pretty dense there, it's urban area, traffic can be an issue many times. So some people resort to public transport, to get around the city faster and cheaper. But traffic is traffic in the big cities. You know what I'm talking about, like living here in Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So do you think that like most folks that are coming here, some of them, if they lived in like an urban area, maybe they'd, and like maybe they'll live in an urban area here in the States too and be able to take public transit. But would you say like half and half might like know how to drive and half like may not, or?
Probably so, yeah. I don't know the exact statistics, but I would assume
Right.
half. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's helpful. Let's see. And then I guess both of you, out of curiosity, is there anything that like you remember kind of like missing most moving here to the States, or that you've had friends and family, something, like big or small, that kind of yeah, you miss from Ukraine?
I'll go first. I moved to US when I was 14 years old. So honestly, I missed my friends the most, and also my school, my neighborhood, because in Ukraine, I'm from a small village in the Western Ukraine. And the kids there just can run free, without worrying about anything. So I miss that because here it's different. And I just had the best childhood memories in Ukraine. So for me, it was very hard to find friends here. So yeah, that's what I miss the most.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so maybe, I mean, that's an easy thing that folks can do, hopefully, is help with friendship. I know I've had friends from other countries that have visited me and they're like, where are all the kids? Right? Like they're just not outside or what have you. Depends. Some places they're outside, but yeah. Alex, what about you?
Yeah, Ryan, pretty much same thing. It's I moved here 5 years ago, and family is the number one thing missing. Thank God you got Zoom and Skype today, and you can call them every day. It's just still not like being together in the same room, having a nice conversation, having a good time together. But yeah, it's a little bit different, but um,
Yeah, and I imagine, it's the factor too that so many people are concerned about their friends and family now. And I am kind of curious, the newcomers, the folks that you all are helping that came recently, are they able, for the most part, to be able to stay in touch with friends and family in Ukraine via phone or Zoom or Skype, or? Yeah.
Yes, they usually use Telegram and Viber for communication with friends and family.
Okay. I actually don't. Are those apps or are those on the
Yes,
computer?
those are communication apps. Yes.
Great. So yeah, so I guess having like Wi-Fi is key, for newcomers as far as staying in touch. Let me see. That kind of brings me to, you all are welcoming a lot of folks right now, and you both work as case managers. Could you share for us what some of their like primary concerns are, or like some of the, and I know that everybody's different, right? But when folks first arrive, what are kind of the top things on their list that they want to do, or top concerns that they have after arriving in the United States?
So the primary concern, I would say, is to get a social security card, because you need it basically for everything, to get a driver's license, to find a job. And that's the main concern. And the thing that it's hard to get, because Ukrainians need to apply for work authorization card together with social security card. And we don't know how long it's going to take. It can take up to 6 months. So yes, that's the main concern.
Yeah, just like Irina said, it just takes a little bit. It takes a while, to get a work permit here, and Ukrainians are not lazy. They're ready to go get a job, start working. It's just something we all have to deal with right now.
Yeah, and actually that's another question that I had, and just you were talking about the educational system too. And I think that this is true of a lot of newcomers. But kind of after they would get work authorization, et cetera, are there specific jobs that folks are interested in? Although I realize that sometimes you have to take the first job available or what have you. But have you had experiences in that? Are there specific jobs that people seem more interested in than others, or not so much?
Most men want to become truck drivers. That's the most popular job here in Chicago for Ukrainians.
It's in demand, no surprise.
Yeah, no, actually, I was just gonna say I don't know that much, but I was thinking that truck drivers, were in demand. So yeah, so that's good to hear that maybe there's overlap there. Let's see. So soon we're actually going to open it up to questions. But actually, before we do that, I do want to share with the folks on the call just a few national resources. So actually, Grace, if you could switch to the next slide. So just knowing that some of you on the call might be interested in getting involved in welcoming Ukrainians, or you might be welcoming a Ukrainian or a Ukrainian newcomer yourself and interested in resources. These are just a few of the key resources that might be of help. So if you wanted to get involved, one thing you could do is reach out to your local refugee resettlement agency, like Refugee One, but in your community. If you go to rcusa.org, they have links, or you can just Google, local resettlement agency in your city. So you might have a local resettlement agency to find out engagement opportunities. They will likely also be providing some services to arriving Ukrainians. So if you're assisting an arriving Ukrainian, you could also check with them on what services are available. Moving along, welcome.us is also a place where you can learn about welcoming Ukrainians through the Uniting for Ukraine program. They also have a few resources for Ukrainian newcomers. Let me see. And then also another, and I do actually, we're getting a little bit of feedback. If folks could mute themselves also, that would be helpful. Let me see. The sponsor circle program is also a way that you can form a sponsor circle and welcome Ukrainians and others. You can also be a sponsor circle and welcome through the Uniting for Ukraine program. I also wanted to highlight USA Hello. They have, I think, even recently added even more information to their online center for newly arriving Ukrainians with information in both Ukrainian and Russian and English. And newcomers can find information about humanitarian parole, temporary protected status, and benefits, as well as a variety of resources on coming to the US. And that's more resource for Ukrainian newcomers. And then there's the Refugee Welcome Collective, which is our website. There's a resource library on community sponsorship, and there's also technical assistance that you can fill out a form and enjoy. Let's see, so technical assistance for community sponsors, Uniting for Ukraine supporters, community sponsorship staff, and newcomers paired with sponsors. So those are just a few key resources, and we'll email these out about both getting involved in welcoming Ukrainians or also finding some resources for Ukrainian newcomers. Great, next slide, Grace. So yeah, so now it's just a time that we'd invite everyone on the call here to go ahead and chat in some questions for Alex and Irina, either about, kind of like common cultural questions about Ukrainians, or also, their work kind of welcoming Ukrainians to Chicago. But I would just invite all of you to chat in some questions as they would be happy to answer them. I can try to answer them too, but they probably have better information than we do. Let me see. One question we have so far is wondering if there are any special cultural traditions that Ukrainians might have. For example, this question here asks, like, like, for example, drinking tea, like at certain times or something like that. Are there any, special cultural traditions that come to mind?
I would say probably going to church on Sundays and then getting together with the family to have lunch together. That's what we usually do.
Very nice. Yeah, does anything come to mind, Alex, or?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not like a big cultural guy. I don't know.
No, you're fine. You're fine. And I even kind of imagine that that might be something to think about. That hopefully Ukrainian newcomers coming here, maybe they do already have friends and family here, but that could be something if they don't. Just even offering like to help them look up a church in their area, or even just offering like, oh, do you want to come over for lunch, or you know what I mean? Like that Sunday might be a time that people are used to gathering. Let me see. Some more questions about, let's see, religions, and I think that you had said Orthodox, and then what were a few of the other ones that you had mentioned, Irina?
Greek Catholicism and Roman Catholicism are also common, but the most common is Orthodox.
It's Orthodox. Very good. Let me see. And then more questions about schools in Ukraine. Are the schools kind of like similarly sized as far as like, are people going to the same school? You told us that it was like elementary, middle, and high school, but are people kind of like at the same school the whole way through, or what is that like?
Yes, usually at the same school. You go to first grade and you stay in the same school until 11th grade.
Okay, so it might be a little bit different. With some folks, like the one kid will go to elementary school and then another will go to high school. Let me see. This is a question about the families that you're welcoming. And I'm sure there's a variety. But what is like the typical family group? Are they mostly like couples or singles or families with kids, or?
Right now we have many single moms because, as you might know, men cannot leave because of the martial law. So right now we usually have single mothers and we have singles.
Oh yeah, no, that's so single mothers, and then a lot of times with kids. What's the typical like family size?
A family of 4. We are talking about husband, wife, and 2 kids. It's usually like that.
Let's see. Yeah, so this is a question. I don't know if you have advice, but I feel like this is a good question for people to kind of have in mind. Someone had asked, is speaking Russian a trigger for non-Russian speaking Ukrainians? What would be your advice as a volunteer to just like ask, like, oh, what's your preferred language? Or I don't know, could you speak a little bit to that?
Yes, it might be a problem for Ukrainians speaking to hear Russian speaking people, but we are working on it, because language is not a big deal, because we are trying to be calm, and understand that Russian speaking, they spoke Russian their whole lives, and we just have to be patient with them. They cannot start speaking Ukrainian right away. So yes, just to be patient.
Another
There's
question.
like a little bit of a sense of anxiety sometimes for some Ukrainians hearing Russian speech. They're just like extra cautious, trying to figure out, I mean, if they're safe around this person. I mean, just, we're just leave the scars, all I can say.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's a question. Oh, you were speaking about like single mothers. Is it common for families to pay for childcare outside of the home, or more common to leave children with neighbors, or?
Yes, more common to leave children with neighbors or other family members or friends.
Let's see. Yeah, some just folks saying that they've had a positive experience welcoming a couple from Kiev, and they're settling in nicely. Someone else said that the folks that they're welcoming speak Ukrainian and Russian, which has made it easier because then they can access more, you know, like resources or what have you. Let me see. I guess this is a question. Of the families you're working with, are any of them families who immigrated to Ukraine before the war broke out? So like people that immigrated to Ukraine and now are coming here? Or have they all mostly lived in Ukraine for most of their lives before coming
Yes,
here?
They mostly lived in Ukraine before coming here.
Gotcha. Someone also was curious, like, did Ukrainians have most folks watched a lot of American movies or enjoyed American music before coming? Yeah.
Yes, many of them had Netflix, which was very surprising to me, and they were watching movies in English, so that's a good thing because that's how you learn English. And of course, listen to music. Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
actually
especially
never
younger
looked.
generation.
Yeah, the
What
younger
was that, Alex?
Especially younger generation is like all into learning English and
American
getting
culture.
acquainted with the culture.
Yeah, no, I missed that a little bit, but you were saying a lot of, could you repeat that last thing? You were a little bit quiet.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. So
There we go.
younger generation is really into, you know, getting acquainted with American culture through the movies and through the music. Um, yeah, they say Westernized, I guess that's the term.
And I actually haven't tried. If I tried to search Netflix for like any Ukrainian shows or movies, would I be able to watch any Ukrainian shows or movies on Netflix or something like that, or probably not?
There is a good
Probably
movie.
some.
Yeah, there is a good movie I recommend you to watch. It's called Winter on Fire. It's about the revolution that happened in 2014. It's a great movie.
Yeah, no, thank you. Because in welcoming, you know, like hopefully they'll see some of the same American movies that they liked, but it would be helpful for some of us welcomers to have some exposure as well. Let's see. Yeah, and this is, you know, some folks sharing about families that they've helped that have had to relocate several different times before coming to the U.S. Let's see. Oh yeah, and some other comedy series that are on Netflix that are Ukrainian. So yeah, so hopefully in addition to new Ukrainians watching some Netflix in the U.S., we can watch some Ukrainian Netflix as well. Let me see. Some of the single mother families that you all are helping, have they been able to find employment pathways or not yet?
Not yet because they need to apply for work authorization cards first, and it might take up to 6 months. So yes, it is very hard for them to find a job now.
Can I ask you, and sorry, this is kind of putting you on the spot, but what are some of the things that you tell people, you know, like I can only imagine, right, for like a single mother, and people come and they don't have their work authorization card yet, and they're worried about getting a job. I know there are no easy answers, but is there anything that you kind of tell people as they're very nervous about their new lives or not yet having a job?
Yes, we just tell them that to be patient, they have to be patient. We are applying for public benefits for them, so they are getting some financial assistance from the government, and they rely mostly on family and friends.
Let's see, and another question, sorry. Another question came in about holidays, right? Any holidays or customs that come to mind that yeah, while people are worried about things, maybe holidays could be a distraction, right? Are there any popular like holidays that are celebrated in Ukraine?
Of course, we celebrate Christmas on January 7th. It's a very big celebration for us. Also, we celebrate the New Year's, not like in the US. It's a really big celebration for us. And yes, it's usually the same, mostly the same.
Easter is also big. Easter?
What is
Oh,
it?
Easter, yeah.
Oh, Easter. Yes. And you mentioned that Christmas is on January 7th, which is similar to some folks that celebrate Christmas in the U.S., but then different from others. And then in Ukraine, you celebrate New Year's on January 1st as well, or is it a different?
No,
Yeah.
it's the same.
Very good. Yeah, no, and let's see. Very good. Do you all celebrate Mother's Day? That's a specific question.
Yes, we do. We celebrate Mother's Day and Women's Day.
Okay. Oh yeah. We don't. Well, we do celebrate Women's Day, but yeah. But we'll have to. Are there any specific things that that folks do on Women's Day or Mother's Day or Easter that you can share?
Yeah, the men are just being too nice and help out in the house, just for one day, for the Mother's Day and for the Women's Day. Yeah.
Very good. I like that. I like that. Let me see. Oh, and then and we'll wrap this up in a moment. But folks are asking a lot of questions. What sports are popular in Ukraine?
Well, the most popular is soccer.
So you can still go. You can still see a good soccer game in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that might be something that people could keep in mind, you know, too, that if there's some good soccer access, or do people also watch soccer on TV, I'd imagine?
All the time.
Okay. Yeah, no, so I wonder how hard it is to catch how hard is it to catch a Ukrainian soccer game on like the computer or on TV? Is it pretty easy? You can tell that I don't watch very much soccer on TV or on my computer, but is it pretty easy to do?
Yes, it is very easy.
Okay, very good. All right, wonderful. Let's see, are there any other things, Alex and Urina, that we haven't asked that you wanted to share, or?
Well, on behalf of all the Ukrainians, they appreciate you guys helping them to resettle and get on the right path here.
Yeah, no, thank you. Let me see, and I do want to thank both of you all as well for taking time out of, I know that your days are busy and you probably have a lot of phone calls and emails to respond to, but I do want to thank you for taking the time to share with us, and thank you for the work that you're doing, you know, helping to create new communities there in Chicago. Let me see, I also want to thank all of you who attended today's Lunch and Learn. As I mentioned, you'll receive a follow-up email with a link to today's recording. And on behalf of Refugee Welcome Collective, we want to thank all of you for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Have a
Thank
good day.
you.